Hi, I'm Larry Deverett, and I'm going to quickly explain TAMA 38, a very unique and lucrative housing construction program in Israel. In the 1940s and 50s, when Israel was just a new country, there was huge immigration. Developers had to very quickly build tens of thousands of apartment buildings to accommodate the vast increase in population. Generally, these buildings were 3 or 4 stories, usually built on stilts and engineered to 1950s building standards. And because land was plentiful and cheap at that time, generally they were built in the most desirable locations in Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and other major cities. Fast forward 50 years to today. Many people don't realize that the state of Israel is located on a major earthquake fault line that runs up the Syrian-Jordanian border. Seismologists predict that every 100 years or so, there's a possibility of a large tremor or earthquake. If God forbid there was an earthquake in Israel of any serious magnitude, there's a strong possibility that hundreds or even thousands of the old-style apartment buildings could collapse, causing massive damage, tragedy, and loss of lives. The Israeli government is addressing this concern with the TAMA 38 program. And there is also another major challenge in Israel today, a large shortage of housing in the bigger cities exactly where these older apartment buildings are situated. In the 1950s, it was okay to build a 3 or 4 story apartment building in Ramat Gan or Petah Tikva or many other high-demand locations. But now, those areas desperately need more housing and there's very little land left to build. A great option is to improve and expand the older buildings. About a decade ago, the Israeli government initiated TAMA 38, which is a brilliant solution to both of these problems. Under TAMA 38, developers are given incentives for improving older apartment buildings and bringing them up to current building codes and standards, making those older apartment buildings earthquake-proof and much safer to live in. In exchange for making significant improvements to existing apartment buildings, developers are then granted rights to build new apartments on top of the existing building. For example, a 3-story building that currently has 12 apartments might get another 2.5 floors with an additional 10 apartments added to it. These new apartments are on the top floors of the buildings with the best views and they command premium prices. The financial return for the developer is exceptional. Everyone wins. The owners and tenants of the existing apartments end up with a beautifully renovated building that is now much safer, earthquake-proof, and it includes bomb shelters for each apartment, an elevator, new windows, new balconies, new cladding, new lobby, and new parking and garden. And they get all this work done for free. The developer pays for all the renovations. Once the TAMA improvements are completed, the existing apartments in the buildings are much safer, larger, and better looking, which makes them increase in value by about 30%. Every older apartment building in Israel will soon be lining up to have their building renovated under the TAMA program. And the local governments are very supportive of TAMA. Why? At no cost to them, it converts older buildings in their municipalities to safer and nicer buildings with more apartments, which generates more tax revenue and economic development in their region. Everyone wins. There's a second version of TAMA whereby the tenants actually move out of their building for about 2 years. The original building is then demolished and a brand new, much larger building is erected in the same place. After the renovation, the previous tenants move back to brand new, larger apartments, and they are reimbursed for all their alternative rent expenses during the construction period. In the next 10 to 20 years, it is estimated that over 15,000 residential apartment buildings will be renovated under the TAMA program. TAMA projects are generally developed by smaller builders. Developers are currently cherry-picking the best buildings that yield the highest return on investment. It's important to understand that the land, the collateral in a TAMA deal, is the roof rights of the existing building. The roof of a 3 or 4 story building is actually more valuable than the actual land it stands on, because the roof is already starting from the best view, 3 or 4 stories high. And there's no cost to land in a TAMA project. Hence, the financing required is much less and faster than a traditional new building project. My company, American Israel, specializes in financing TAMA 38 projects in Israel. We help both foreign and domestic investors to safely invest in TAMA 38 projects and earn a substantial return. Our focus is to fund TAMA projects that produce an annual return on investment of at least 17% per year or more with minimal risk. Typical timeframe of a TAMA investment is about 24 to 36 months. We reduce risk and make the investment as secure as possible by following 5 principles. 1. We only work with the best developers who have proven track records, experience in building, and a high level of trust. There are lots of TAMA developers in Israel, but only a handful of really good ones. 2. We review dozens of TAMA deals, but only choose the best ones. We have strict criteria for return on investment, security collateral, location, and marketability. 3. We handle all of the due diligence. We work with very reputable lawyers, accountants, and engineers who are bilingual and understand our investors' needs. We verify everything. 4. We handle all of the legal, accounting, and tax issues. We make the deals turnkey for our investors. And finally, 5. We monitor the project from start to finish and send regular reports to our investors. We ensure that a project stays on budget and on time, and that our investors receive their return quickly. Because of our tight criteria, we only invest in a few projects a year, but the ones that we go into are rock solid. We realize that investing in a foreign country like Israel can be intimidating. We are former North Americans who now live in Israel. We understand your needs, we understand your language, we understand your culture, and we produce exceptional and safe returns for you. There are 3 good reasons to consider a TAMA investment with us. You will earn exceptional return on investment in a very quick time frame. We protect your investment and offer excellent security, and this is a way to really help Israel. It makes homes safer and could potentially save a lot of lives, and it adds much needed new housing and jobs. This is a very good time to consider making a TAMA 38 investment in Israel. We are happy to answer all your questions about TAMA 38 and show you exceptional TAMA 38 opportunities. We look forward to working with you.